Let's get this challenge started. Oh, wait. Well, guess we're doing low jump now. Let's go over the rules. 1. Minimize jumps. Wall, ledge, or floor. Any type of jump is a jump. 2. Drifter cloak is a drift, not a jump. And 3. Cocoon skips off limits. I'm lazy. Since there are so many jumps, I'm not going to show every one, but I will have a video link to the full run if you want to see every jump. This is more so going over the fun and the key points of this run. I have chosen to go the Drifter's Cloak route, after looking through the different paths. The first step, of course, is defeating Mousefather. Well, without jumping. It's a pretty simple fight, with most attacks being avoidable, and being able to out-heal her in case of taking too much damage. But overall, for a first boss, defeated easily, and that is no surprise. The next part was the path to Silksong. There are quite a few cool skips along the way. I used the same Beastfly skip as speedrunners do for any percent, albeit with less jumps and more time. It was quite fun figuring out the different damage, tanks, and pogos to get up top, using the Beastfly to take damage, and then quickly pogo off it 2 times before doing a jump to get up top. A quick hello to Chakra, and then we're on our way to our next skip. The next skip features an enemy damage tank into a pogo of a regular pilgrim, and then pogoing off an overgrown pilgrim, followed by, sadly, a mandatory jump. The next part took a while to figure out, where to damage tank and how to time pogos to be able to hit the background object in the end. With the correct spacing, it saves 3 to 4 jumps. With all the early hard skips done, we acquire Silksong with a total of 46 jumps. The early game is so brutal with mandatory jumps, but it gets better over time. Now, we are going to fight Bell Beast without jumping. This fight was the first significant combat challenge of the run. With Bell Beast's double damage and no movement options, we were forced to damage tank and get as many hits as possible. The Bell Beast's jump attack is the best hope we have for not taking damage, with the Bell attack being technically avoidable, but very precise as well. Overall, a well-fought fight, and a hard one at that. Well, now it's off to get Dash. The next roadblock is a fat ant. This guard was another challenge. A fun fact, Hunter's March route to Dash actually requires less jumps than going through deep docks, so this guy had to die. With a mix of both parrying their attacks and slowly whittling them down, I eventually defeated the Red Menace. There are quite a few cool skips as well. The first cool skip is in the Tall Room in Hunter's March, which features a series of pogos of both ants and the obstacles to be able to gain some height. This involves 2 damage tanks to be able to get the initial height to pogo in the first place. The next skip also has quite a few damage tanks, as well as some sneaky dodging of traps to avoid additional damage. A tech used in Hunter's March a lot is pogoing as soon as you fall off a platform, so you don't lose too much height due to how fast Hornet falls. This room in particular was one of my favorite rooms in Hunter's March. After a few more fights and 2 mandatory arenas, Dash was only a bit away, a few rooms of parkour, and we managed to collect Dash with a total of 69 jumps. Nice. The next major goal is Reaper's Crest. After getting Dash, there are 2 routes we can take. One is getting the simple key from Bone Bottom and then going through Wormways and Shellwood to eventually get Reaper's Crest. The other is the more traditional route, to get Drifter's Cloak and then go through Greymoor to Reaper's Crest. I did some initial tests and it seems that Drifter's Cloak route is the better option. This is because if you approach from the Shellwood side into Greymoor, you need to take some additional rooms to go around the city to the Bellway to get on the correct side of the map, due to a shortcut not already being unlocked. The Reaper Crest itself requires a lot of jumps, but the amount of jumps saved from the dash attack from Reaper's Crest makes it mandatory for this challenge. Since we're going for Drifter's Cloak, we have to fight Lace. The fight overall was pretty simple, with dash attacks giving us height, allowing us to follow up with a pogo and easily achieve heals. The skips ahead, however, are complex. There's one room in particular where you need to do a numerous amounts of damage tanks and then heal to get more health to damage tank even more, requiring every single mask you have at your disposal to be able to minimize the number of jumps. A brief side note on the way to Reaper's Crest is that Beast Crest was also considered for its dash attack. The main problem with Beast Crest, though, is that it does not give enough height to solve some of the sections that Reaper's Crest allows for. It does give a lot of horizontal movement, though, with both dash and pogo, though sadly, those sections are solved later via clawline. This is what solidified the choice for Reaper's Crest. The next stop is both Clean Grip and Needle In. The path is pretty straightforward from here. First, we need to fight Morwing to get Bellheart. Then it's a straight shot through Shellwood, fighting Sister Splinter to get to Clean Grip. A small side fact is the skip speedrunners use in Shellwood requires a jump, which is why in this run we have to fight Sister Splinter. After getting Clean Grip, a lot more options are opened up. Now the ability to dash up walls. Dashing off the top of walls also allows Hornet to get some additional height, which we didn't have access to before. From there, we make our way to Widow, which is a decently difficult fight, but grants us the access to Needle In. 97 jumps so far, and we are finally making our way to Act 2. The early game really took a toll, but with access to Reaper's Crest movement and Clean Grip, it should be significantly easier. We now have to decide between Last Judge and Phantom Route, and the call is actually pretty easy. The amount of jumps it takes to Last Judge is 1, but Phantom requires 0. Also, Phantom gets rid of the steam, which could have been a problem for acquiring Vaultkeeper's Melody due to the 3 steam pipes below. Even better, we get access to Cross Stitch, which could be helpful in combat. The path to Phantom is overall pretty simple. It's a quick run through Greymoor and then Sinner's Road, which takes us to the Mist. The Mist itself is a pain to navigate without jumping, but completely possible. The hardest part about navigating to Phantom was the exhaust organ itself, timing the dash attacks with the steam to optimize the amount of time to get through the maze. The Phantom fight itself was pretty fun, though pretty simple overall. With access to Cross Stitch, we can now make our way to Act 2. With entrance into Act 2, we can now make our way to getting all 3 melodies in Clawline, the first being Vault Keepers. The pathing through the Citadel is pretty straightforward and very low jump friendly. We first have to kill Cogwork Dancer to get access to Cogwork Core. Through there, we can navigate to vaults to get access to Trobio. Trobio was one of the harder boss fights of the run, and it took quite a few attempts to complete. With him defeated, we can start making our way towards Clawline, which has some of the most fun parkour in the game. There was one incredibly hard dash attack with Reapers, though, towards the end of getting Clawline, but it is just possible by getting the perfect amount of height to cling onto the wall. With Clawline obtained, we face a new challenge, the rings that Clawline can hook into. They can only be dismounted in 3 ways: attack, Clawline again, or jump. This means any section that requires you to jump off a ring will be a significant problem. This requires us to do 1 jump in the Clawline room, featuring a skip from any percent route. The rest of the rings we can worry about later, so we're off to the Vaultkeeper's Melody. Vaultkeeper Melody is pretty straightforward, to be honest. It's not that many rooms away, and with our abilities, it's pretty free to navigate and just grab it. The path to Architect's Melody isn't crazy either. With Clawline obtained, we are given many more movement options to use. The 2 challenges of the section are the main parkour room itself and the puzzle up top. The puzzle itself was more tedious than challenging, trying to figure out how to get the correct spacing to hit only 1 lever at a time to not mess up the puzzle. But overall, a pretty fun and simple section. The next path forward is to High Halls. The main problem for this section is the rings in High Halls. To get enough height in some spots, you need to be able to jump to dismount the rings. As for the gauntlet itself, well, that was annoying. The amount of flying enemies made it very tedious, and the Cogwork fly enemies were insanely hard to kill. I think overall the fight took about 10 minutes. One of my least favorite sections of this challenge was the gauntlet itself. Not to mention by this point I had no nail upgrades due to wanting to maximize the amount of pogos off enemies to enable more skips, so it took quite a while. With all the melodies obtained, we only have 2 major things left: Lace 2 and GMS. Overall, Lace 2 was a relatively difficult fight. It took about 5 or 6 tries, but overall wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be. The fight was a back and forth, with the goal being finding healing spots, and most of the time hoping she would jump into the air to get some free damage off. Overall, very fast and very fun. The final challenge, Grandmother Silk, and holy hell was this a boss fight. This was the hardest boss fight in the game without jumping. Reaper dash attack lines up the height just right where the pins can still hit you with the horizontal attack. Not to mention the double thread attack in a row was a bit rough to dodge based on the positioning of the threads. I also needed to be prepared to dash attack in case of her swipe attack. Even though it had its difficulties, it was very enjoyable overall and posed a very good challenge. Overall, it was a fitting end to a hard challenge. With Grandmother Silk defeated, I can add up the amount of jumps to 103 total, is what I would say if I didn't find a way to save a jump after finishing most of this video. 102 jumps is the true total for now. I think there might be more ways to shave off a few of the jumps, but they are either currently out of my skill range or I haven't had time to figure them out. A quick note on the inspiration of this video, whatever it is. I have no clue how it's pronounced. Did a low jump video featuring both ledges and wall jumps for their challenge, and that originally got me thinking on this idea instead. I'll have their run linked below. I hope you enjoyed. You can check out my other hit stuff here, and I'll see you next time.